Hey guys, so today we're solving Leetcode number 11, container with most water. So the premise of this problem is we have an input array which is called height, which has the height of several poles which act as barricades for water. So these poles help contain water. Now our job is to find out which two poles do we select that can hold the most amount of water. And the way we go about approaching this problem is by first understanding the simple physics of this problem. So, how do we know the height of the water? We will get to the distance between the poles later, but to start with, let's understand what makes the water this height. So, this for this input array, we already have the solution which is shown in this diagram, which shows that these two red poles are able to store this much water. And if you looked at these two poles, although they're the same height, they store lesser water than these other poles because although vertically the water level is lesser, the poles are spaced farther apart, which helps store more water. So what we can see is that the height does matter because uh, if this pole was shorter, then a lot of the water would spill and overflow, and the level of the water would decrease. But if the left pole, the height increased even to say 1,000, it wouldn't make a difference because the bottleneck in this solution or in this problem is the right pole. And also, an important factor to consider is the distance between the poles. And that's exactly why, although these two poles are the same height and would vertically have more water level compared to compared to the highlighted poles, we we see that the actual water that it can store is lesser, and that's because of the distance. Okay, so now how do we code this? How do we code the solution for this problem? I'm gonna start coding and then explain my thought process along the way. So to start with, let's initialize our return variable, which is result, and let's have two pointer arrays, which can traverse, one called left, which can traverse left to right, and the other called right. So L is equal to 0, and then R is equal to the length of height, which is the array. I think it's called heights, yes, minus 1. And then we have a while loop that says while L is lesser than R, because we do not want to have the left pointer cross the right pointer. And now we are going to check if we are going to compare the heights, and we are going to find the minimum so that we can find the area. So to start with, if L is equal to 0, it will be equal to the first pole, and if R is equal to length of heights minus 1, that's basically just the last pole. And to start with, we're first checking how much water can be stored between the first pole and the last pole. And here we can see that it is only, so this, the first one is up, has a height only of 1, and so this is the bottleneck, and this is going to only allow one level of water, but the distance is huge. So now if we consider the distance would be how many poles is here? So it has 8, 9. Okay, so the distance between the first and the last pole is 9, or rather 8, because it's 9 minus 1, so it's going to be 8. So 8 into the height of 1 gives us a rectangular square area of 8 square, which isn't that impressive compared to this. So now we need to increment left. Anyway, before we get into that, let's first check if the result that we have. So say for example, we had found the answer already, then we want to store the maximum value. So we are just going to keep increasing left and decreasing right and store the maximum. So if result is less than R minus L, let's put that in brackets because we want to multiply this. R minus L into the minimum of the heights of R, comma, the heights of L. We're going to check for this condition, and if this is true, then we know for a fact that the new result, we need to update the result because we've just found an area which is greater than our previous result. And so we're just going to copy paste this. And this statement basically is just the area between the two poles, which is R and L. I hope you can follow. And then we're going to have an elif statement which checks if the height, why do I keep misspelling that? Anyway, so if the height of L is less than the heights of R, then we will just increase the left one. And if say both the heights are the same, actually, yeah, if both the heights are the same, we can just decrement R because it doesn't really matter. You could increment L or decrement R, it doesn't make a difference. You could do that, or you if they are or if this was interchanged, which is basically, let me just write the statement so that it's easier to understand. If this was true, if the right height is, if the right pole was less than the left pole, then we would want to change the right pole. So we would decrement it by 1. And if we look at this, we see that both of these else statements basically do the same thing. So we can just combine these two else statements into one and just say that R minus, so you decrement R by 1. And yeah, this should be the code. And I think this should work. Hopefully I haven't made a mistake anywhere. Alright, it works. Let's submit it. Alright, so this code works. Yep. Yeah, it looks good. Alright, so this was the container with most water problem 11. If you want a better explanation, you can check out Leetcode's, not Leetcode's, Neatcode's. Yeah, you can check out Neatcode's solution in the description. Thanks for watching.